Hello everyone and welcome back to Paladins How To Episode 3. Today we're going to be talking about game types. So whenever you log into a game, you have your champion set up the way that you want them to. You can come to play and this will bring you to your first screen, which is the click play menu. So we're going to go through each one of these individually. The first game mode we have is Team Deathmatch. So in Team Deathmatch, you pick your talent and your loadout. Once you do that, you can't move until the match starts. You have a 15-second timer. You can buy items, do whatever you need to do before the match begins. And once it starts, it's like any other team deathmatch mode from any other game. You kill somebody, you get a point. They kill you, they get a point. You try to get as many kills as possible before the time runs out, or the first to 40 wins. As you can see here, once you make a kill, it gives you 1 point. And then once the enemy kills you, they will gain a point. Also, you can buy items without being in a spawn room. Since Team Deathmatch doesn't have a spawn room, you just kind of spawn randomly on the map. The second game mode that we have is Onslaught. On Onslaught, you do the same. You pick a talent and a loadout before the match begins. You are in a spawn room. As you can see here, you can't go out of it until the countdown timer expires for the match to begin. You can't shoot out of the spawn room, and the enemy cannot shoot into the spawn room. Once you get mounted up and the timer goes down, you can see the capture point on the map. Here you can see that once you get a kill, it also adds points to the overall points that you need to win. So for one kill, you get 5 points. Whenever the enemy team gets a kill, they also get 5 points. The first to 400 wins the game. The main way to gather points on Onslaught is to control the center point here. As you can see, this white line surrounds the point itself, and whenever you're inside of it, it turns blue, and when the enemy's inside of it, it turns red. Whenever both teams are inside of it, it contests that nobody gets points until either your team or the enemy team is forced out of the control area. Some maps have higher points that are also connected to the capture point, such as this map in itself. It has that balcony area, and if you're standing on that, as you can see, it's contesting and nobody's gaining any points. The third mode that we have is Siege. Once loaded into the game, pick a talent and a loadout, and you can also pick items. Once you die, you respawn in the spawn room. Here you can go in on the scoreboard and see what your loadout and what your talent is, and see what the enemy's loadout and the enemy's talent is. You can do this in any game mode by selecting tab or whatever it is on console to see what the stats are, and you can go through their loadout. Now the objective for Siege is to go to the center point, capture that, and deliver the payload to the enemy's base. Or if they capture the payload, then they're going to try to deliver it to your base. As you can see, two people's on the point contesting the center point. Whenever you leave the center point, they're capturing it. When they leave it and you're the only ones on it, then you're capturing the point. The bright square that is around it is in itself the capture area. So as you can see on this map, these statues on the sides that you can hide behind and use as cover fall into that capture area. Most firefights take place around the point. As you can see here, the point has been captured. Your job is to escort the payload to the enemy team's base to score a point. As you can see at the top, once you capture the point and get the payload, you get 1 point, 1 out of 4. If the enemy stops you before you capture it, then they will get 1 point. If you deliver it, you will get an additional point. You have to be so close to the payload in order to push the payload. As you can see here, the further away you get from it, it doesn't move, but as you get closer, there should be something, or in my opinion, something around the payload itself to signify this is how close that you need to be to continue it moving. Whenever the enemy is standing close to the payload, it will not go any further. You have to get the enemy off of the payload in order to progress it. They stop it from moving completely. Whenever you're not standing next to it for so long, the payload will start to move in reverse. That doesn't mean it doesn't matter if there's an enemy nearby or not. This is the delivery point for this particular map. As you can see, some ults bring people to you and to the payload, and by doing so, it stops the payload from moving. Once you get a successful push, you get an additional point towards your overall score, and that round ends, you go to the next round. You can only buy items in Siege when you're in the spawn room. So if you die and respawn, you can buy items before you leave the room itself. As you see here, this is a choke point for the payload to progress through. There will be several firefights, and there's also flank routes on 90% of the maps to where your team can move around and try to get behind you. See, Makoa is close enough to the point here where it says that it is being contested, so it's not progressing any further. Once the countdown timer reaches 0, it will go into overtime. As long as you're within range of the payload, it will trigger overtime, and the further you get away from it, once you reach a certain point, it'll start causing the overtime clock to go down. Once you're killed, your team is killed off the point, or you get far enough away from it, it will trigger a fail, and it will go to the next round. As you can see, it is 3-1. Also, the team that is at disadvantage has something called comeback mechanic. That means that they capture the point faster per tick than the team that is ahead. So use that to your advantage if you're behind in a match. As you can see here, whenever you get on the point, the initial point, you can trigger overtime yourself by touching it, or the enemy can trigger overtime by touching it, giving you an advantage to possibly come back and eliminate all of the enemies off of the point itself. They've almost pushed the payload in. There's nothing around Makoa to stop the payload from going in until I did that. Now it is being contested. I get further away from it and they push it in. It is 3-3. Whoever captures this point wins the match. When it is 3-3, there is no comeback mechanic. You only generate a set amount, which is 3 points per tick. Whenever you have comeback mechanic, I believe it's 4 points per tick. That diamond that shows a 1, that's just how many people that are currently on the point itself. If you have all 5 people on the point, then it will show a 5 there. Whenever there's enemy and teammates on the point, it will clear the diamond out. As you can see here, overtime's been triggered. They're trying for a final push. and the game has been won. At the end of each game, you'll have a stat screen. This is your champion level, account level, and your battle pass level. At the bottom, you have more information. This is the battle pass challenges that you still need to complete. These are your active quests that you're currently trying to go for. This is best in class. If you have the most objective time as a frontline, you will be best in class. And this is the stats screen. It shows your KDA, your streak, objective time, damage, etc. Whenever you hit toggle details at the bottom here, you can see the talent that they ran, the cards that they have in their loadout, and what items that they bought. You can see that for your allies and the enemy's team as well, in case you want to try something that they have in their loadout or see what maybe gave them an advantage. The fourth mode that we have are test maps. Test maps is a siege game mode where they're maps that the developers are currently working on. As you can see, the wireframe is all around all of the objects. Nothing has any kind of textures or anything to it. The only thing textured is the characters themselves. Next, we have the rank tab. On the rank tab, as you can see on the right here, we have different people's names, their rank, what their current TP and their win to loss is. If you click on info, it'll bring up the season 2 rewards. There's 46 days remaining. Whenever you reach gold 5 at the end of the season, you get a frame. If you get higher than gold 5, you get a higher frame. So if you get platinum or diamond or masters, you get a frame that corresponds with whatever your highest rank overall is. Next, we have the limited title Battle Harden. Play 100 games. We have the epic skin, the Chieftain Grok skin, whenever you play 200 games. We have a treasure chest for playing your 5 placement matches, and we have the limited avatar for whenever you play 25 games. As you can see, I haven't got that yet, but I plan on getting that. Whenever you select the rank game mode, this match ready screen will pop up and it will ask you to click OK to queue up for ranked. If you don't select that, you will get a deserter anywhere from 5 minutes to 45 minutes, maybe even more. At the top of the screen, you have a countdown timer and it says team banning. Ranked has 2 phases. The first phase is the banning phase, where you can go through and ban any champion that you would like to ban, and the second phase is the pick phase, where it will go back and forth, as you can see here in just a moment, on who picks what. Once someone is banned, you cannot play them. Once someone is picked, you cannot play them. If your team or the enemy team locks a specific champion in, they are no longer available for anyone else. As you can see at the top of the screen, you have bonus time. That allows you, once the initial timer goes to 0, you have a little bit extra time to make bans and picks. That way you don't run completely out of time and you have to hurry and make a rush decision. Ranked requires a lot of back and forth communication between your team to try to figure out the best match to go against your opponent. The banning phase is over and we are doing the picking phase now. As you can see, this person at the top is fixing to pick something. She locks in Tyra. As you can see, her picture has a slash through it. That means Tyra is not available. They picked Genos and Vivian. Genos and Vivian has a slash through them. That gets them out of the picture. You can't pick them at all. I go in and pick Khan, and the guy below me goes ahead and picks Zen. The ban picked phase lasts until both teams have locked all their characters in. It'll do an initial countdown timer, and then the match will begin just like any other match. Whenever you win or whether you lose, you either gain or lose TP. When you gain TP, that allows you to progress upwards through the rankings, and whenever you lose TP, you go downward through the rankings. You go down. So the object in ranked is to come in, play your best, know the champions that you're playing, try to win to secure TP to go from gold to platinum or platinum to diamond, wherever that you're trying to get to. I personally wish that they had a ranked training as a regular quick play game mode where you went into the game, you had bans, you had picks, You couldn't pick the same champion for both sides, and you knew what you were getting into, just so that you can practice for ranked itself. Because sometimes you'll get thrown into a ranked match with people that don't know what they're doing, or sometimes you'll be thrown into a ranked match where everybody on the enemy team is master, grandmaster. It's very frustrating for a lot of people that like to play ranked whenever you get mismatched, either teammates or opponent. Next up, we have training. In training, it is just all the game modes other than the shooting range and the tutorial, Siege, Onslaught, and Team Deathmatch, where you can play those with AI against bots. You'll either have bots on your team or you can have real players on your team, however it works out. If there's enough people queuing for it, you'll have a full team. If not, then you will have bots on your team. It's a good way to go in and try new loadouts and things such as that if you're playing by yourself, if you don't have a group of friends to play with. Last tab, we have the custom games. So to go in here and create a custom game, you just click create. You select which game mode that you want. We're going to play Siege on Ascension Peak. You go here, you can name it whatever you want to. Name it test, put a password in. Make sure the region is in your region. You can change it to wherever you want to. If there's people that you want to play in specific areas and you can't play with them normally, this is a good way to get on there and play with them. You can adjust your team size based on how many people it's going to play. You can either change the draft mode from open to ranked. If you would like to do ranked training with friends, you can do that here. You can enable spectators where they can come in and watch the game and just kind of hang out. You can have a password for those spectators if you're allowing them, and allow third person. You can enable or disable it. In ranked, third person mode is disabled, so if you're doing a ranked training, you can disable that. Then you create it. So when your friends join in, they'll populate this area. You can swap back and forth on the different teams. If you're wanting to play with specific people or play against them, depending on that, you can add bots to fill what you need. You can basically do bot matches here if you'd like with friends or however, and then you just go to start game and it will load you into a game. To join a custom match, all you do is come down here and hit refresh on that screen, and it should generate your friend, whoever's setting the match up, game mode, the map, draft mode, who created it, and the number of players. Once you find the game that you're looking for, you can click on it and it'll ask you to join. You type the password in and then you will be carried to that pre-lobby where it shows which side you're on, which team you're on. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Hopefully you found something useful in this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you like what you saw, check out the other videos that I made, and please check out the Paladins and Chill. If you're over 18, that'd be perfect for you. If not, get your parents' permission, whatever you need to do. But check that out as well. We got another video coming up next, and we're going to be talking about items, going over what each individual item does and how it applies to the game itself. Thank everybody for watching. I'll see you next time.